So, to make it very simple, we no longer have to do any buffer allocation with nothing effect, because we do something like this. And one, we might have something like 0. We might have something like 0 like that. And yeah, but you know what? Yeah. Now let's just take care of it. When we make the big changes, that's when we can, the big optimizations, that's when we can do all this stuff. We'll just make the comment, we could have a flag to optionally not 0. Because if if we know the buffer is going to get written to, we don't need to clear it out. But if it's mixed, if it's used, the previous values used, then you need to 0 it for audio. And so we have this buffer being allocated. We don't need an sint16 now. We're not going to do anything like size and all that. I think I'll just leave those blank for the client to fill out for now. Because yeah, all of these guys client controls this. Yeah, that's enough to understand it. So we have our buffer set to 0. Then we also need the filter buffer. And this doesn't need to be sint16. And in fact, oh, suddenly I've been, my camera like keeps going into this retro, I don't know, this was in like some 80s music video, well, in like 50 of them. Alright, anyway, yeah, I'll just call this filter buff, doesn't matter. And basically I do filter buff equals, this should be a pointer, filter buffer star malloc filter, well, size of star filter buff. And here I can just do that, and I don't need that guy anymore. I don't need this sint16 stuff, which might require include, or at least a type def. So whoa, why does this? Okay, something's wrong. Missing this. Thank you, Emacs. I wonder if that was a design choice. When you don't have all the parentheses lined up, you get weird indentation. I guess that's not surprising. Anyway, it's a good design choice. So, we just return the filter buff now. And we're good, right? We have to keep track of this somewhere. So yeah, did we create that vector? think we did. No, we didn't. Yep. So luckily, it's not very hard to create a vector using the standard library, std vector, and the type that we want, which is filter buffer star. And then we say filter buffer. No. Filter bus. Yeah. I much prefer to have something like that. Okay. How's that? Filter buffers. Nothing wrong with a long name. std vector. I really don't like calling them that, but it just comes out, you know? Sometimes that happens when you talk a lot. But it really sounds like a very bad insult that I would not like to call anyone. Or maybe, now I think about it, it's pretty great in that sense. Yeah. That guy's a total std vector. Okay, so we got what we came for. We got this new buffer system going. We just need to push things into it. Buffer. Yeah. So this will take us in, and in our update call, we're not quite done. Add a single reference, and buffer starts with ref count of 1. Client does not need to increment it unless making extra references. That's easy enough to understand. I think it is. So add a single reference. That's just filter buff ref count plus equals 1. And the other fields we're not going to touch. They're going to be totally random. And I'm okay with that. Because if I set something meaningful, that could be hard to debug when, I don't know. Yeah, I could set them. But first I want to take care of this guy. So the filter buffers need to be handled somewhere. And we have this update call that does this. I wonder if you can do the for thing, that for trick with buffers. I'd be pretty surprised if you could. Well, dot size and I plus plus. There's gotta be a faster way to type that. But anyway, in this loop we do pretty much the same thing we did with the other reference buffers. We just check to see if, yeah, I do put spaces there. If this is Donald Ritchie's fault. What was I doing before I started talking about indentation? Deleting buffers. Filter buffers. Ref count. If there's no ref count, no. It's less than or equal to 0. Then we should start deleting stuff. And there's 2 objects we must delete. This guy, and these were mallocs, so we're freeing them. And also this guy. And then we have to deal with the fact that we're in the middle of a loop. And in the middle of the loop, you can't quite have the same. Oh no. Well, we have to erase the thing. Like that. But in the middle of the loop, you can't get away with not decrementing I. Or you'll skip an element, which is no good. Okay. I think we're good. So now we have audio buff. And audio buff is going to be like this. Filter audio mixer. And we just say instance, please give me a filter buffer. Then we say thank you and fill the buffer out. You know what we don't have? We don't have a representation. Oh, I take that back. Yes, we do. I was going to say our audio buff doesn't have the channels and number of frames filled out. That's for us to do right here. And one of those, and one of those. Occasionally I actually do indent things in a nice way. That's a habit I picked up when I was writing some FFmpeg code. I was just writing like a FLAC parser and an indexer. But getting the patches accepted there, you have to pass a very rigorous patch review that includes extensive cosmetics. And during that time I became fond of actually several conventions that originally I didn't use. Yeah, one example is the open brackets on the same line of the conditional. I used to hate that. But once you get used to it, it's not so bad. It just makes you pay more attention to the indents and stuff. And it saves you a line. Okay. So now we have an audio buff with the proper information within it. And I don't know what out buffer is trying to do.